the dogs.
Yo,
What
what's
up?
happening, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Saturday. We
Knicks
are
corner.
live in
Knicks
effect.
corner.
Knicks Corner. We got
Knicks
a big
corner.
show for y'all tonight, this afternoon. And stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let's go. Coach Fi, how are you doing, my man?
Man, I'm doing great, my brother. I am so sorry about last Saturday, but
No worries,
it
man.
was my anniversary, 16 beautiful years with the queen that I have married. And we
Much love,
had
man.
we had to do it up, man. We was in the city. We went to this wonderful Moroccan joint like Friday night called Arabesque. If y'all around Fifth Ave, go check it out. Fifth Ave and West 37th in that vicinity. Check it out. It's a nice little low key spot with some very delicious food, bro.
All right, okay, all right. I like it. I like it. Yeah,
Then
man. Listen, I held it down. We had Sim from Nothing But Knicks. That
yeah,
was
I
beautiful.
saw that.
Yeah, we got into some great conversation, man. So you were missed, absolutely.
Yeah, we was at what Cafe 37 Deli right there on West 37th. Yeah, I'm giving shouts to these wonderful spots
That's
that
what's up.
held us down. So hopefully folk in the area might go and check them out. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So you did a great as always, bro.
Oh man,
You're
thank you, bro.
awesome. You're
Thank you.
great with it. You know what I mean?
I'm getting
And
there, man. Getting there.
nah, you found your zone. You parking in there, right? Nice and well, bro. Nice
Oh
and
man,
well.
thank you, bro. I appreciate that for sure.
And thanks to
Absolutely.
everybody watching. We definitely appreciate the views. We appreciate the love on Twitter and all the social medias and on Anchor and everybody listening in their cars and stuff. Yo, we really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, thank you, everybody tuning in. Always appreciate that. So I'm pretty psyched, man, for a couple of reasons. We got a surprise pod dropping sometime in the very near future
Yes,
with an
yes.
excellent guest that we had the other night, man. I'm excited for the
Yes,
people to
yes.
see that. So we'll
Yes,
definitely let
yes.
that drop next week. And then we got a stud of a guest today. Should we get in? Let me get into it, right?
Hit
This
it.
gentleman here is a scholar. He's been on the Knicks scene for a long time. Some of you viewers might know him from the knicksblog.com. I'm going back right now. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of SNY.TV.
Yep.
He's a teacher, he's a husband. Manhattan College, I believe, is where he teaches. I don't mean to give too many details, my man. But without further ado, I'm gonna bring up the one and only Tommy D. How are
See,
you doing, my man?
see, that was great. And
How you guys
I know it
doing?
wasn't Coach File, like I know, man. It wasn't. I'm working on it. You're tough shoes to fill.
I
Can you
Tommy,
guys
how
hear
you
me?
doing, man?
Tommy.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, man.
Coach Danny, great to see you guys. Great to be with you. Thank you for the kind words, Danny. Great to
Likewise.
be with you. A lot of times I hear people say when people announce what they've done in the past and all that stuff. People say, "Oh, it makes me feel old." It doesn't. It makes me feel great. So
Hell yeah.
thank you for the talking about a little bit of the history there, and really love what you guys are doing. And had to be outside on a beautiful day like today, and looking forward to chopping it up with you for sure.
Hell yeah, man. What are you on the golf course? It looks beautiful out there.
I was about to say, man, he is chilling. That's how you do it.
Hell yeah.
I've replaced younger Tommy, who used to put up a lot of shots in the gym and work on his handle for a lot of hours with being outside and hitting golf balls and chipping and putting. So
Right on.
as you
Yeah, there
get
you
older,
go.
you got to replace your younger self with certain things, and there's nothing like to me this time of year around here is you got to be outside, especially on a Saturday, chance you can get.
Yes,
So
sir.
hope you guys
And
are
it's
enjoying the
beautiful.
views.
Oh,
Hey,
absolutely, man. I know I am.
hey, J.R. Smith is vibing you right now because he too put down basketball for golf right now.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's doing well,
Funny
actually.
funny J.R. Smith story. My company actually did his charity golf outing, so we got a
Okay.
chance to get to know him a lot. And what a great guy! And great to see him, doing what he does, right, which is whatever he wants to do. And
Right.
it looks like he's doing great, and happy to see that. Really, really good guy, great family. Got to know all of them, and he was big on returning what he's earned in a sense to back to the community, and just couldn't be happier for him.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Man, it's been a minute because the last time we chopped it up, we had a ball and you were breaking out analytics, and then all of a sudden you left Twitter. Like,
Yeah,
Well,
gone.
he's been working on something. Been
Yeah.
working on something. I don't know if anybody else has been seeing it, but I know I saw it a little while ago. We were
So
talking about Tommy offline, but that
when you,
modernNBA.com.
so when you reemerged, I knew it was ready. So let's go into why you disappeared and then what this new modern surprise is all about.
yeah. So definitely, I think there are people who have experienced similar things on Twitter as well. When you work on things, there's a lot of, you just sort of have to go um, incognito and not have any social presence, especially on Twitter. So I knew I was going to be taking a hiatus. It was sort of a tongue-in-cheek retirement type of thing, because I I don't take myself that seriously. But once I started to come back, as soon as really the draft ended and summer league started, I felt like I can get back on, and it's something for me about August and summer league and Vegas. It's just, it just gets the juices flowing, and the league is off for a month, and it was a really good time to get back into it and launch modern NBA, which to me is sort of um, a next phase in content that I've been doing. I mean, Danny mentioned in blog and building out SNY, and I spoke to Brad Como, who runs digital over there, who I've been friends with since back when, and I actually thanked him because Knicks blog is still in many ways what it was, and Ian Begley does a tremendous job. And I saw Ian at a showcase not too long ago. I guess probably a couple of years ago now. Time flies, but was just really happy for Ian. I told him so. He's doing a great job. Sort of next phase for me in basketball was just building off of my technology, my scouting work that I've been doing. And
Right.
when I surveyed the league and all the different analytics, I think it sort of swung a little bit too far, where it became too hyper analytical. And I wanted to sort of integrate the eye test into things and sort of create this combination that was more easily digestible and sort of defined versatility, right? What's the modern NBA player about? Even now, you can go back to lower AAU leagues now and just see bigs who are developing more guard skills and guards who are learning to develop stuff in mismatches and pick and rolls and things like that. So I really wanted to put a number to what versatility was, and that's where we come up with sort of this modern NBA, modern skills rating, MSR is what I'm
Right.
calling it, and it lives on modernNBA.com. So yeah, if people are out there, check it out. I know you mentioned you checked it out, so really appreciate that, and we're gonna keep pumping content out as we go through the year.
Nice, man. That's awesome. That's definitely cool. Yeah, obviously, you've done this before, so it's just a matter of putting the gears in motion. I think it's important to change the way that we look at things in a way as the game itself changes. Obviously, it's not the same league as it even was 10 years ago. And that was, I know, a crucial period of Knicks history that you covered pretty intently. When you had things like the knicksblog.com and you had SMY.TV going. So you've been through it. So I like the new perspective and the new way to kind of put a different number to things. I think it works, and it's needed as like I said, the game itself changes. So why not look at it, in a little bit of a different angle?
And it's such a great point, specifically going through the Melo stuff. Obviously, the LeBron free agency was huge, which then really spilled into the Melo trade. And
Right.
to your point, 2011, 2012, the game was still a lot of mid posting, a lot of half court stuff, D'Antoni was just starting. The Suns had their run, but it wasn't fully adopted. Right, the early
Right.
possessions, the Warriors hadn't really popped yet. So, Melo coming to the Knicks was still in that sort of evolution to the modern game, and not a lot of people talked about it. Everybody, yeah, I mean, they talked about the triangle and Phil, but what Phil really was trying to do, and he just couldn't do it because he wasn't coaching, was develop sort of a modern triangle, which was to sort of get the mid post, pushed out towards the 3-point line.
Right.
But it just wasn't going to work. There wasn't enough buy-in. But I really
Nah.
think the Melo era in New York, a lot of people don't talk about sort of how the evolution of the game just sort of ran right through and past Melo's teams. And, now I'm happy for him because he's been able to sort of evolve his own game. He knew
Yeah.
he knew he needed to change, and he got the opportunity to do so in Portland. And, this final run here in LA, hopefully he can be that stretch 4 or stretch 5 that, the modern game really utilizes during the regular season.
Right. Yeah,
Indeed.
absolutely. I definitely agree with you, man. I think you hit it on the head there, where the game did evolve. It kind of did pass right by Melo, right? When he was, with the Knicks, and that time period was going on, we had our own, conundrums and issues and things like exactly what you just said with Phil and the triangle stuffing it down our throats, and the team not buying in, and because they see all the success that the other teams have with this new style of play that was going on. So it's like there was just so many different angles, that put into it. Coach, I see you nodding your head over there, man. What are you thinking?
It's a long bygone story, but to be perfectly honest, I do. It gets tedious hearing how it's the triangle, when there's still aspects of motion offense in everything, and it's just a way to play it. Again, yes, yes, yes. The triangle. We're moving on.
Well, to that point, and I say this till I'm blue in the face, nobody cared, because it really turned into Melo versus Phil, which was the narrative being driven
Right.
by everything
Yep.
that you're reading here, except for me, and a couple other people. The Warriors run the triangle. They just run
This
a more
is what I'm
modern.
saying.
They
This
just
is
run a
why
modern
it's
version of
like
it.
this is why
This,
it's like it drives me crazy that people keep talking about it in the negative. Like, no, it's not. What
Right.
it's
we
still
did
very
didn't
relevant.
work. What
It's still very relevant.
because Phil needed to come down from on high and actually get on the court and freaking coach it if it was to work.
That's a fact.
So the minute he wasn't doing that, I knew it wasn't going to work because none of the other coaches, I don't care if you work in it or as an assistant in it, if you don't understand the intricacies of it, like how Tex taught Phil, you're not going to get it. And it's going to be difficult. And I'm sorry, I don't know if the players were seeing how the rest of the league was playing, but the coaches we had sucked, in my humble opinion.
To
You know,
implement what they were trying to do, yes, and I think that it just the way that they went about it was definitely completely wrong.
yeah, I
I
mean,
I
it
get
was
the
it was
idea,
doomed from the start.
right?
Well,
Absolutely,
I
and
think
you're
I
right.
think
The
Hornacek.
Warriors.
Go ahead,
Go
Dan.
ahead,
Sorry.
Tommy. Not
No,
please.
I think Hornacek was on the right track, where Phil really failed the organization, and I think he will admit this. If you were being honest, is the relationships around the league, being able to make deals, being able to bring in the talent. Now, in all fairness, it is a stars league, and players want to play with each other. Um, and super teams form because those players end up playing with each other. So, am I surprised that no one came to play with Melo, or even when Derrick Rose was here? I thought early on. Now, I got laughed at on Twitter, and it happens, because people like to pull little things out and make big deals out of them. But when they
Right.
had Noah and Rose early on in that season, if you remember the Grizzlies game at home, if you remember the Bulls game on the road in Chicago, those teams they played good basketball in small samples, and I felt like they were on the right track. But I think at that point Melo was just so checked out that it was
Well, you
very
got to
hard to
remember,
get them
we
to
lost Rose
continue
for a
that
whole
moving
month
forward.
that year, though. we lost Rose for a whole month that year, and Rose had personal issues and legal issues and stuff.
Right.
And Noah went to the club.
Right.
He admitted that. Noah was going to the hookah bars and enjoying the New York nightlife
It was
like
not
he had never been
sustainable.
there before.
At that year, it wasn't sustainable. I agree, but I think the basketball was quality in those little
In
moments.
small samples, exactly.
Yeah, remember the game in Los Angeles when Rose had I think he had like 25 and 12, and they won on the road in Los Angeles. They had some games, and then it all fell apart.
That's why we were so gung ho about it, is because you saw flashes of okay, this might be able to work.
And if
sustainability
Rose,
comes from buy-in, and that's where what you love about this team now is that starting with Randall, starting with Barrett, starting with Rose, starting with Tibbs, of course. There's buy-in top to bottom, and you can just see it. It's palpable for sure.
If we had this Rose then, we might have been able to make some noise.
But you needed that Rose then to get this Rose now. That's
exactly. He had to go through that journey. Well done, Danny.
Great point.
It's just, that's life, man. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to go through something to get where they're at.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I agree, man. That this Rose now would have absolutely. It's tough to even want to go back and think, man.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what's funny? This Rose now and this Melo now are greater versions than their younger selves.
It's the evolution, man. We were talking about this the other night,
Yes.
The evolution.
So, and Randall is becoming a greater form of his former self as well at this time. And we shared a video, you and I, we went over that where he was waxing very poetically about RJ. And then you see another one when he's talking about Mitch.
Yep.
This is unique. I haven't seen this brotherhood since like the 93, 94 Knicks.
Yeah,
I hope they have similar success, but the camaraderie, the looking out for each other, that vibe is most definitely
and
back
the whole
in the
team.
building.
The whole team gels right now.
But Tibbs was a part of that, so maybe that's why.
I went back to, it's funny, after Summer League, I looked at the roster and I looked at all the guards. And I said, I love. I'm just going down each player. Love all in terms of skill set, in terms of background, in terms of all the information that I've been gathering on them as people. And I went down the list and I was like, man, I cannot remember the last time that I loved every single guard on the Knicks roster. And I went to Basketball Reference and I went year by year. I had to go back to 2000, 2001 to where I saw every single guard on that roster and I was like, yes. Like this, and that team it's not the 99 team, of course, but it's been 20 years since every single guard on that roster, for me, checks all the boxes. And that's saying something, I think.
Absolutely.
Great point. So while we got everybody, I want to take a quick commercial break. I know I had a little hiccup with my internet during this great conversation, but we definitely want to come back because I definitely want to get your opinion on the guards. I want to get your opinion on the new free agency pickups.
Oh yeah, so many points to pick your brain on, man.
Exactly. So
it's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our good buddy Tommy D, and we appreciate you. We'll be right back.
The Emmanuel quickly action figure. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We got that new Knick gear, getting ready for the new season. We got the new Emmanuel Quickly action figure. Bum, bum, bum. Complete with 90-something% free throw accuracy and a nasty floater. Oh, and this Emmanuel Quickly hits the three like it's water. Splash. Get it early before the holiday seasons and Christmas and Hanukkahs and things. Go get your Emmanuel Quickly New York Knicks action figure. Get it now. The Emmanuel Quickly action figure. It's the fourth quarter. We're down by one. No seconds left. And you gotta eat your breakfast. So what you gotta get is that RJ Barrett crunch time. That's right, boys and girls, it's crunch time. Get your wonderful breakfast on right before school. You're not gonna be late because the food is gonna just devour itself and just evaporate right in your mouth and give you all the nutrition you need because it's crunch time. That's right. RJ Barrett, crunch time, straight from Kellogg's and them. The folks that gave you them Rice Krispies and things. You feel me? Crunch time, baby. Go get you a bowl, go get you two. Go win for your team, win for your school. Crunch time.
I love that, man. First of all, the first one cracks me the hell up. The second I hear you going, Emmanuel, dude, I'm dying. And then the crunch time, do it for your school.
Yes. You know, it's crunch time. RJ Barrett is doing it for the team, so you got to eat his breakfast and do it for your school.
Let's go.
That's right. Let's go. So, Tommy, those commercials were fun and also kind of specific because these guys are, in my opinion, are going to be very important to the team, not only going forward, but definitely this season. So, what are your thoughts on RJ, on Emmanuel and Obi, and the future of the Knicks?
So we'll start with RJ. I mean, for me, and this goes back to his Team Canada days when they won the 17 and under FIBA
Yep.
games. Even before he got to Duke. I'll tell you a quick story about his father, Rowan. I have a friend that I played with in high school, and he played in college against Rowan in St. John's. My buddy ended up playing overseas for almost 20 years, played a long, long time.
Okay.
He said by far and away the strongest player he ever played against in his entire career, and he played a pretty high level Division I and then professionally, was Rowan Barrett, and senior. And when we talk about RJ just across the board in terms of checking the boxes, I always said coming out that he was a franchise player. And, the narrative was, oh, typical Knicks, they fell to 3 and they missed on Zion and they missed on John Morant. And obviously, Morant had a great first start to his career.
Yep.
RJ is just one of those guys that only cares about getting better and only cares about the long game, right? How is he going to improve over a season? How's he going to improve over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? These are Hall of Fame qualities. Now, I know that's a bold statement. Am I saying that RJ Barrett's going to be a Hall of Famer?
Right.
No, but I'm definitely not saying he won't be. He has all the qualities in a great player, a great leader, and all NBA talent. So, when I hear trade rumors or whispers around the league about, Bradley Beal or, trying to put together a package for Dame Lillard, I cringe because I'm like, you do
Right.
not want to trade RJ Barrett. RJ
I
Barrett
agree.
is the player that the league should be promoting. The Knicks are very lucky to have him within the franchise because of his mindset and his work ethic. The fact that it was a big question for me last year whether he was going to be able to pair with Julius Randle, and they did. And
Yeah.
to see Randle take less money, to see them committed to building around Randle and RJ, to me are just great signs. So that's how I feel about RJ Barrett. I couldn't think higher of a young player and a young man who really shot up last year. I mean, our statistic is modern skill rating. He was up, something like 18, 19% from
Wow.
year over year. And now you're adding Kemba Walker. Coach Nick from Basketball Breakdown did a great breakdown on adding Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. And he noted that RJ Barrett only took 12 3-point shots out of all of his field goals in top pick and roll. And he ran a lot of pick and roll. So to be able to get him out of that situation more on the wing where he can attack with his left hand, he's going to get more free throw attempts. He's going to finish around the basket better. He's going to be more natural. And, of course, he can handle the ball as well. So I expect bigger things from RJ, even adding productivity from Kemba and productivity from Fournier. Quickly to me is a guy who I think he's a gadget guy. I know that people right now are going to say he's the point guard of the future. I'm not there yet. I'm not saying he can't be. I think
Mm-hmm.
he can learn under Kemba, but he is so good at long threes, distance. I'm more of I more tend to think that those are more gadget shots, right? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
make them, they're high efficiency, but and they're very easy to get in a lot of ways. But if you miss them, they are sort of backbreaking to your offense in some ways. His
Right.
Oh
floater
yeah.
game is a little gadget too. I'd like to see him develop more of a pull up, more of an under control pull up. I think that's more of a efficient shot to add to your arsenal. You got to have a floater, but if you rely on it, it's a very difficult shot to make.
Yes,
Um,
as we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I love Quickly as the guy. Like when you saw great teams like Kentucky or AAU teams coming up, where you're like, that's the guy that every really good team has. He's not their
Mm-hmm.
best player, but he's like, maybe he's like the second or third guard or the first or second guard off the bench,
Right.
and he can guard a couple of spots. He's pesky, he's disruptive, and he can get the crowd going. And those
Mm-hmm.
intangibles are big deals. Is he a 35-minute a game, point guard? I don't know, but I know he's a guy that you want in your rotation.
Bang.
And
And
Obi, did we talk
yeah, I
about
was about to
Obi?
say, not
Yeah,
yet.
Obi
Yeah,
was
definitely.
Obi was number one on my ranking coming in last year in the entire pre-draft.
Okay.
His modern skills are exceptional. He just wasn't able to really show them last year because he was sharing minutes with Julius. And I think that's going to be something that they're going to need to address because I think Obi can be unlocked. I think if you brought in a guy like JJ Redick, I think Obi is the guy that if you have a dribble handoff making guard, which could be Quickly for sure. I mean, you've seen them
Yeah.
pair together pretty well. It could be Fournier. But if you bring him off the bench with a JJ Redick, like those are layups. Like JJ Redick is one of the best DHO players that the league has seen over the last 15 years. Um, I think Obi is the type of guy that, yes, he's still going to be a complementary piece, but he has all the makings of a guy who can come off the bench, be a sixth man, and of course they have Rose, but he can bring that energy in the second unit with more responsibilities and more minutes, and maybe take some of that responsibility away from Julius in
Right.
terms of total minutes during the regular season. Now we know this about Tibbs. He does rely on guys to play heavy minutes. So we'll see if he can evolve there too, and sort of give Toppin some freedom to play on the court without Julius, because I think you'll see more of his ability.
I definitely think so.
I agree.
I think that it's very likely to happen. Because with everybody else that we've brought in, and now the new mechanics that we have available to us, I think that obviously there's going to be less pressure on Randall. So Obi might have a little bit more of a window to do things like we just mentioned. So, hopefully we see a little bit more of that this season.
I
Again,
would
it's like, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tommy. Hit it.
just to finish on that one. I saw a comment there about using him in pick and roll, which is fine. The problem with him as at the five is if he's having to defend a bigger guy who's a pick and lob threat. Obi can't guard the lob, not that many guys can, but
Right.
he would have a difficult time against the Jared Allens. All you have to do is look at rosters and see, guys that are that you can just put in the game right away with him at the five that would just take advantage of him. And a lot of these guys have those centers, right? I mean, DeAndre Jordan, Brooklyn. Now he's in, I believe, L.A. Clint Capella. There's a bunch of guys who are, obviously Gobert.
Elite
Embiid.
at what they do.
Yeah, and you can't put Obi against those guys because it's just a mismatch every time. So
Hmm.
he'll be off the floor with foul trouble. So that's why coaches tend to not even explore those opportunities, because now if Embiid's got 2 or 3 fouls in the first quarter, then yeah, you can go small. But if you're
Right.
trying to bring Obi in to make an impact, a coach is just going to make an adjustment and say, all right, cool, like Obi, you're going to have to guard Embiid, and good luck with that. And you don't want that. You definitely don't want that
Right. No,
to
that's fair.
be impacting. And we know what Tibbs is all about defensively. It starts there, which is why you don't see him a lot at the five.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to put him in a spot that's a disadvantage to him.
Correct.
And I think honestly, when it comes to Obi, his potential is great. his need right now for this team to me is second unit, and I think he can be the king of the second unit. You know what I mean? And with Randall off the floor, as you were saying, Tommy, he will be able to really utilize all of his tools. You know, and what I saw in summer league, and again, of course, it's summer league, so that's just the competition. But the mindset of the attack and the quickness and the quick twitch that he now has, where he was a deer in the headlights like the first half of the
Oh yeah.
season. He was
But
he was just youthful exuberance, just running down the court, but not
yeah,
really knowing what else to
handing the
do
ball
other
off
than that.
right away,
Yep,
hesitating to take a shot, and then holding
exactly.
the ball. There was a lot of little things that you saw.
But then towards the end of the season, and then in the playoffs, where honestly, that's where it matters the most. You
Well,
saw
it's
Very
comfortability.
true.
You saw a relaxed version of Obi. And in his limited sample size, he was impactful every time he hit the court. So you take that, you take the little smidge on top of what he did in summer league, and then you give him a full off season, full training camp, full preseason, and I think we have. I don't want to call him Baby Julius because he's his own person, but as far as the production for that second unit, Julius can definitely get a
Shades of it.
few
Yeah.
minutes rest every game because you can trust Obi is going to perform in that role, in my humble opinion.
I think he's way more Jason Tatum than he is Amari Stoudemire, and he's a
Agreed.
force. He's a force of nature which you can't teach. And a lot of the things that I get asked, like when I scout mid-major teams, right, like A10, MAC.
Mhm.
Not that there's been a lot of NBA guys from the MAC specifically, but let's say the A10, which is Dayton Conference. A lot of the questions come out as, well, he touches the ball all the time. What happens when he comes to the league and doesn't have all those touches? Like, what does he do? Like, he didn't play one game at Dayton in his last year where he wasn't the focal point of the offense,
Right.
Right.
right? So he's into the flow of the game from pregame, from the locker room, from when he gets off the bus. You know, he knows the ball is in his hands. So I think a lot of the nervousness that you saw when he first would enter the game was the
He's not
ball is
used to
not in
it.
his hands. Yeah, the ball's
Right.
not in his hands, and now he's got to learn to play with guys who have to get him touches and where he's comfortable. And what you saw in summer league, which I loved, was guys getting him to the ball and in the corners and on the wing, where then he could just get into like dribble handoff, and then the ball would move.
He
And I
was
thought their
more the
offense
flow of
looked
the
great.
offense the summer league. So that goes to what you were saying about him in college.
Right.
He was used to that role in summer league. And I think we need to pay attention to that.
And
I
he's not
think
he didn't come from a dribble drive system, which is what Tibbs likes to utilize. He
right,
came from a very modern spread offense, right to your point, where every time the ball came in, it was running through him, and it was moving quickly. Like, he's not a
mhm,
catch and hold guy. That's what I
right.
loved about him coming out. He's a catch and move it guy, and that's what you want in your offense, especially from your bigs.
Right. Keep it
Yes,
moving.
and
Right.
yes, Jay Ski, he is on a golf course, no doubt.
Shouts to Jay, by the way.
Big
Yeah,
shouts to
man.
Jay Ski.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see the way that this roster ends up playing out, the dynamic between everybody. Anything that stands out to you in terms of what you're looking forward to the most going into the season.
Great
I'm
question.
very much looking forward to watching Kemba. I coached against Kemba when he was in high school.
Oh
He was a
wow.
I
freshman.
remember you saying that.
He was a freshman at Rice High School, and if you remember Edgar Sosa, who played at
Yes.
Louisville, Curtis Kelly played at UConn, Momo Jones was on that team. There
Okay.
was there was another guard. We scrimmaged them. It was not close, but I remember watching Kemba as a freshman. I said, this kid, and he was only at that point probably 5'4", 115, 120 pounds, but he was electric and bouncy and had all the skills. And I just remember saying, like, nobody was really talking about him. They were talking about Edgar and they were talking about Momo. And I was like, this guy's their best player. And he was probably the best freshman that I had seen, and definitely the best freshman that I had coached against to that point. So I'm very interested to see how and he's going to help with them You just want to you just pray that the knee holds up,
Mhm.
and that to me is what's most exciting because he adds a dynamic that they really missed last year, which is being able to make threes off of pick and roll early on in the possession. And he's just an energy guy, and he's going to love, he obviously loves New York and him playing in the Garden. Like he's going to be the immediate fan favorite. And I think he'll integrate with Julius very quickly, and same with Barrett. And I love Deuce McBride. I mean, I think
Okay.
anytime, and I give Leon Rose so much credit here because, what I know about the organization and what I know about how he works, which I would say is more than most, is that he's a very fair guy to work for in terms of giving people opportunities. I can tell by the draft picks who had the most input. And Tibbs had the most input on McBride. I think the Post reported that, or somebody else reported that. So that's not anything earth shattering. But anytime you can get a guy that a coach looks at and says, that's my kind of guy. Not to say that Quickly's not to say that,
No, 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 no. McBride is
you
his
know,
kind of guy. Yeah, that's obvious.
you look at Deuce and I just see the two of them clicking and him really adding an element of toughness. Like go look at the 3-man stats with Kemba, Fournier, and Marcus Smart, or Kemba, Tatum, and Marcus Smart. Like I think if they can develop Deuce into like a Marcus Smart with a jumper, he's a
Mm.
guy that which he showed in Vegas. I mean, he's
Oh
definitely
yeah,
got the skills.
he definitely
Um,
did.
Now,
I feel like he's a guy that'll be a rotation player and will really. I mean, he'll give Trae Young fits.
yes, he will. Oh
He'll
gosh, yeah.
he's the guy, and this is I think the best way to put it. And I think I said it the night they drafted him. He's the guy, or actually I think I was off Twitter at that point. But I'll say it here. He was the guy that everybody wanted Frank Ntilikina to be.
To be
I
right,
really believe that, and
right.
he is that right now. So I think he's going to come in and be better than Frank really ever was
Well,
from jump.
and Frank's gone, so.
But
Oh, I have a
he's the
question for
guy
you.
that everybody wanted
Right,
Frank to be. I think.
right.
No, I
I
agree
got a
with you.
question for you from the comment section, and it's from a man Jay Ski. Did you coach against Felipe Lopez?
I played against Felipe Lopez. I did
Oh,
not coach against Felipe Lopez. Felipe was at Rice. I believe we're the same year. 1994 is when he graduated high school. I'm dating myself. Um,
a little bit.
but but I did.
I'm still
So
older than you.
Felipe, Stephon Marbury, Sham God.
Ah, Jam God. Oh man,
I
that
was
was an
on the other
era.
end.
That
I
was
was
an
on the other
era.
end of that.
Yeah, I'm
Kareem
sorry.
Reed, Eric
Yep,
Harris.
yep.
Yeah, I
You
saw
talking
some.
about premier New York point guards and
Yeah,
things.
Yep.
Ooh,
No, that's a fact. Yeah, yeah. And I had a front row seat to all of those games. Those were some amazing high school games. Those
literally.
St. Raymond's Rice games. So yeah, I got a chance to see Felipe up
Nice.
close.
So
that's
here's
cool.
my thing. For me, looking at Kemba Walker, looking at Derrick Rose, and even to an extent now looking at Julius Randle, this is a 3-year window to make something really, really, really
That's
special happen.
absolutely fair.
Now we get to move with it, and then that's gonna somehow get moved on. I feel like after 3 years, but then we'll have Obi taking Randall's place naturally, not as a trade and move nonsense, but as a natural progression. And then you'll have Deuce McBride taking perhaps Rose's spot as a natural progression, or perhaps even taking Kemba's spot as a natural progression, and Quentin Grimes taking Derrick Rose's spot as a natural progression. And you still have RJ, who will probably be a multiple time All Star by then.
Hope
And then
so.
you have Obi
Truly
into
hope.
that spot. And if we happen to lose Nerlens or something, we still have Jericho Sims. We have set ourselves, and we have plenty of cap space and maneuverability
More
and stuff
assets. Yep.
going into the future. This could very well be the most beautiful version of we take these vets and we win something and then we have this youth that becomes vets and win something for times to come. This
The only thing I gotta say, Coach, is I feel like that's almost like the perfect world,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That's what this was.
Yeah, no, I
This
know.
was
This
me
is like
waxing about a
Coach
perfect
Scott's
world.
dream right here.
Yes, exactly. And I wanted
I'm
you
with
and,
you.
and Tommy's opinion on my dream, if this could possibly come to a fruition. I mean, I don't know about the winning of the chips. That's really that's vicarious. It really, really depends on how the season goes and stuff. But honestly, in a perfect world, I really believe that the Knicks have set themselves up for the next 7 years.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. First and foremost, I don't think that, contrary to popular belief of maybe some people who speak on TV about these type of things with authority, I don't think that the destination for Damian Lillard is going to be New York if he gets
I don't think
moved.
so either.
And if that were to happen, then what you just said goes out the window because you're going to have to
Yes,
trade a bunch
quickly.
of assets to
Right,
make that happen.
exactly.
I think the same is true for Bradley Beal. I think bringing Dinwiddie to Washington was a shrewd, low-key, great move. I think Dinwiddie's I put him as one of my breakout guys this
Hmm.
year. I mean, if Dinwiddie doesn't get hurt last year, the Nets win the championship. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. That's how important I think he was to them, and how good he is, and what he's become in this modern league. So I think Dinwiddie is the key that keeps Beal in Washington, and I think that's a good thing. And they've added some really good young players. Avita, they just drafted the kid from Gonzaga, Kispert.
Kispert, Corey
Rui's
Kispert, yes.
there. So they've got some really
And
nice
Rui
pieces
is
there.
emerging. Rui is due for a breakout season himself.
He is.
They're formulating a very modern roster, which I like. I do. I mean, before I was all about the Melo trade. Sort of maybe not seeing the trend of the full modern era.
Right.
And I did believe that players would want to come and then the Knicks could build a super team with Melo, regardless of Amari's contract. But I think now it's twofold, right? You go forward with Randall. You see what you can get there, Coach, to your point, in that 3-year window. And then you have a hedge in RJ and Obi and these other assets and picks and guys that they just acquired this year in the draft. So that to me is where I would go. Whether that is something that internally, I know internally there are discussions about being very aggressive short term. And I would not be a fan of that specifically, but I do not have a vote.
It's good to have conversations. I just don't want them to
Of
have
course.
decisions.
Understood.
Of course.
I just see my take on it is, and I would agree with you. In a perfect world, that works absolutely. But I just feel like the landscape is more so where we need stepping stones to get to the ultimate goal. So where we set ourselves up from last season after laying the foundation. We took that next step. Now we're here. So now we take with what we have. We see how the season plays out. Obviously, you have the trade deadline that comes into play, and then other factors. I just think that there's gonna be people that pop up, situations that pop up where we might have a chance to grab somebody else. Maybe not a superstar, but just another, like you said earlier, Tommy, a gadget piece that would fit into the mold and take us to another level. Because that's what it's
Well,
about, really, is leveling up.
well, we got to see what this team is going to, what
Oh,
level this
absolutely.
team is going to take us before we
Absolutely.
start worrying about other levels. I mean,
I'm with
again,
you.
we got Kemba Walker now and Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose by himself vaunted this team honestly to the fourth seed with what Randall was doing and what RJ is doing. It was what Derrick Rose brought that really helped us ascend. And now we got Kemba. I'm not sure. Fournier is a gadget piece to me.
He absolutely is.
He's
Absolutely.
here for a purpose, and I appreciate him being here, and I appreciate the purpose. And he just discovered the East Village, and he loves it, and I'm very happy for him. He's really embracing New York right now, and
Yeah,
that's
he
really
is.
what's up. He really
He ain't
is.
lying either. He's
No,
not lying.
he's not.
Added on his calves.
Yo, I mean,
He's
again,
doing it.
right? It's like this is like his first time here. Like, oh my god, I didn't realize New York was this dope. Whoa.
I just where I'm coming from is that I just feel like we had needs coming out of last season after everything that we still accomplished. So we made a
But
couple of moves. We took
that
another
we might
step
have
in the right
had those
direction.
seasons, right?
I still think that this isn't the final roster that's going to get us to the promised land. So I think that no matter how the season shakes out, there's still going to be some kind of pieces that need to,
See,
whether it's what we have that has to be adjusted, but there's going to be adjustments needed.
and this is where we disagree. And this is fun for you, Tommy, because you get to see this happen live. This is our conundrum because I'm of the ilk of I really need to see what RJ is going to bring this year. I
Absolutely.
really need to see what Quickly is going to bring this year because to me, if they're bringing that, we don't need to look for that. So
Absolutely.
I'm kind of like, yeah, yeah, there's gonna be names and yeah, trade deadline. We were actually really disciplined this year at the trade deadline.
And I love that. I'm for
And
that.
I'm expecting them to be that disciplined next year. I'm not
Yes.
expecting them to go and look for nothing unless things aren't working or injuries are kind of ripping things down from what it should be. Things like that might occur during the season, sure. But I honestly feel like this brain trust that we have, they brought these folk in believing that they have solved the issues from what they saw last season. So
I'm with you.
I'm always of the ilk that I need to see their ideas play out before I
I
start
definitely
making
do
moves.
also. I just what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I still think that even if every single person that we brought into the fold, right, is able to play to their full potential, right? Say last season we saw everybody overachieve with Tibbs at the helm, and he got the most out of that roster last
They
season.
say overachieve, but what if that was the plan? What if
I'm
they
not
just
saying it
plain
wasn't.
achieve? That's
I'm
what
not
I'm
saying it
just
wasn't.
saying.
I'm stating that's what we saw, right? So this season, say that we do that again, we still get the most out of everybody, right?
Mhm.
I still think that there's going to be something that comes out that we can still improve on. You know what I mean? There's little
That's
things.
where we. That's again.
Inbound
That's
plays last
our. That's
season.
our fundamental disagreement because I feel
Inbounding
like
plays last season, right?
if
Our
Well,
inbounding
if
plays
but I
suck.
it's
can't go
hard to
back to
Suck.
last season
it's
because
Right.
hard
we
to
got new people now. So we got to see what they do.
I
To
agree. I'm just saying I still
so,
think there's going to be things that fall out that we can improve on that'll help take us again to another
but
level.
I got to see what that is first before I can start
I
worrying
agree.
about other players out there. Tommy, what do you think about this?
Well, I think it's not a stretch to say that there is a need at the five position for some space to unlock other guys, including RJ. If you add a Miles Turner to this roster, if you add a Jaren Jackson Jr. to this roster, if you add a big who can defend fives. Now, listen, we could talk about Mitch Robinson being part of that team, and if he's on if not hurt, then they beat Atlanta. That's fine. They don't beat Milwaukee. Brooke
Yeah, I don't
Lopez
think they
takes
were
him out to
supposed
the
to.
perimeter. Well, and that's true. That's fair. But the idea is to beat teams. So I think adding a stretch element at that five spot, creating sort of the optimal space, is a definite need that has to be addressed at some point if they want to take it to the next level. Because you
And
have to be
it
able
gives you
to win.
flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able. Yes, they were 4 seed, and yes, they had home court and lost. But at some point, you've got to be that 1 or 2 seed. Those are the teams that always break through and stay. If
Yeah,
you're
but
talking
I
about
mean
2 or 3 years, you want to be able to play the home games and have the versatility offensively to overcome any matchup. And right now, they don't have
but
that.
that's really hard to say when you have teams like the Nets and the Lakers as constructed. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
easier to
they
say
would
that
play
when
Jeff Green at the five, and Jeff Green would bang down threes all day long, and they would kill. They would kill teams.
He Green
if
was
you do
not.
that, then you can put Obi at the five for Jeff Green and solve that
Jeff
problem.
Obi can't guard bigs
He
like
can
Jeff
guard
Green
Jeff
guards
Green.
bigs.
I'm saying you could have put Obi on Jeff Green because he's smaller, he's more flexible and more mobile. So again, that would be a point where if I'm Tibbs, I would play Obi at the five or even Randall at the five to solve
You could
that
match
problem.
up
He
that
would
way.
go to
That's
Randall
true.
first, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But again, we have the pieces as constructed to do that. So I think we do. Now I'm not
You're
talking
also
about
talking
Kevin
about a
Knox
team
and
that's
stuff like that.
Yeah, you're also talking about a team that has Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So they
Kevin
don't
Durant's
they
just
don't they're
a monkey.
Again, so you've got
they don't have
multiple,
they
you
don't
got
have the
future Hall
issues
of
that the Knicks
Famers,
have.
and not a lot of teams could match up with those future Hall of Famers when healthy.
Right.
Milwaukee would not have won that season if those three were healthy. So again,
Oh, I
it
disagree with
all
that.
depends. Ah,
I disagree with that.
come
I love
on
it.
now. I'm sorry. If Kyrie was there and Harden was there healthy the entire time, now
Uh, Giannis was on a different planet.
Giannis is
And they
by himself. Kevin cancels Giannis out when them other two are healthy. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not a Net fan. Everybody know that. But two fit in the pudding. You know, that's why the Nets brought those guys in. And then you're talking about a bench of LaMarcus Aldridge, Paul Millsap, I believe, and Blake Griffin. I mean, dude, their bench is filled with former All Stars. That's a team that's kind of, to me, one of those asterisks where you're not really trying to compare to that. What you're trying
yeah.
to do is compare to Milwaukee, and quite honestly,
More so.
we kind of pair up better against teams like that. Even with Mitch and Nerlens and Sims as our fives, in my humble opinion.
Right. Yeah, no, all I'm saying is that at the end of this season, no matter what happens, there's going to be some type of adjustments needed. We're going to be talking a year from now about those adjustments that we're looking to make. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
I hear
That's
you.
it. You know?
The opportunities there will be opportunities, and you have to
I just don't
weigh the
know if we need to
opportunities
take
with the
them
need.
right now. Is all I'm saying. Is
I'm not saying we do.
I
I'm not
have to
saying we
get
do.
to at least February.
All I'm saying is at
You
the
know what I
end.
mean?
I'm not saying right now. I want to rock with what we got. I love my
Yeah, but
team.
in a way,
I
you're
love my
saying
team,
you
man.
still think at the end of the day we still need to make changes. So
I
I'm
just don't
just
feel at
saying,
the end of the day that this is going to be the final roster that gets us to the
right?
promised
And
land.
I'm
Yeah,
saying it
I
might be.
don't think
Well,
he I
again,
don't think he means
promised land.
today.
I'm not talking about
Right,
promised land.
I
I'm
don't think he
talking
means
about
today. I think he means at the end of the season.
right. That's all.
right. I mean, still, at the end of the season, I don't know if this team changes by much. I have to see it. I can't
I agree.
forecast that there's going to. Again, I think our difference is I can't forecast it. You know what I mean? I just physically, mentally, I am incapable of forecasting that
Well, I think
because I haven't
it's okay
seen
to
what
say
Kemba
that.
does. I'm just saying because I haven't seen. I need visual information to quantify.
So you're what you're touching on right now is the need to define what those adjustments are. And I'm not saying that I know what they are or what we're going to need. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, there's going to be more needed. That's all. I love, like I said,
I
I
don't
want to see
know.
how this team plays out. None of us know. You know what I
I
mean? Otherwise,
mean, it's always
we'd
something
all be
needed.
millionaires.
The Nets added Paul Millsap recently because there's always something you can need. So I
Correct.
mean, listen, I've had delicious meals that I felt like, this is missing paprika.
Right.
Maybe it is, maybe it
I'm with
isn't.
you.
You know what I mean? But I
I'm
feel
with
like
you.
it's missing paprika. So or this needs garlic powder. You know what I
I'm
mean?
with you, bro.
I don't taste cumin.
And you go right to the food, man. Chef Coach 5.
And maybe it
Be
doesn't
cooking
need
up these
cumin,
Knicks takes.
but yummy. But again, it's just I think we're still in a mindset of I don't trust it, I don't see it, so I gotta look for what else is out there,
See,
and I get that, I
yeah,
get
but
it.
that's not where I'm coming from though. That's my thing. Because like I said, I'm down. I want to see what this team has. I like our
Right.
team. I think that we're gonna. You see the projections. There's people out there putting us at 50 plus wins. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking what we have whatsoever. I'm just
Right.
saying that at the end of the day, that
hmm
we're gonna need something else. No, I have no clue what that else is
I
to
mean,
take
as
us
as
to
long
another
as the
level.
Lakers are
That's all.
stacked, as long as the Nets are stacked, we're always going to need something.
There's always going to be teams like that,
But
man. You know what I mean?
right,
You had the war. Look at the
but
Warriors dynasty. Dynasty that they freaking made.
well, I mean, the first one that was one homegrown completely,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I feel like people forget that. You know, they're
What
in a
they did
rush
was
to
good.
make it a super duper team thing when the super duper was cool, but it wasn't necessarily needed because they won without it.
Right. I'm
You
with
know what
you.
I mean? That's a homegrown team that did wise free agency moves. That's to me, that's not a hey, let's join together and da da da.
No, and
That's different. And but
I love that.
they keep getting phrased and grouped in the same conversation, but the Warriors aren't that. The Warriors are what I hope we be. I hope RJ and OB and Quickly and them can emerge with a person like Randall and hopefully get us to that promised land. And then, yo, if another free agent, a Dame, or somebody want to come and ride the train, come on, ride the train, ride the pony. You know, I mean that's. I know, and I am a pie in the sky when it comes to my Knicks dude with that. But this is like one of the few times in Nicklandia that I honestly feel like it could very well be possible if we give time to this iteration to grow and do what it needs to do. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Listen, I appreciate this conversation, but I see Jay tapping in with this question for Tommy, and I
Yeah.
definitely want to hear what his thoughts are on this. So, Tommy, the question is,
Would
would
you
you trade
trade
Mitch
Mitch
for
for
Miles
Miles
Turner?
Turner?
And
Look
I'm
at us.
assuming he means
Look
right
at
now.
us. I
I would
gotta knock
assume he means
on.
now.
That was dope.
What I mean, straight up, I don't think that would happen.
But
But
would you?
I mean, if we're talking about, and I think I wrote about it in the piece, the modern big piece. Miles Turner is a much more versatile player. So I think net he's a better player. And I think he's a better player for what this team wants to do, especially when you factor in Nerlens being here. Not to say that Nerlens is better than Mitch. Very similar
He's not.
skills. He's not, but
He's
very
not.
similar skills. He's not, but very similar skills. And I think if you
Offensively,
add,
he's brick handed, and Mitch isn't necessarily brick handed. So,
both need to be spoon fed, that's for sure. Um, and Turner's he's much more skilled offensively.
oh, definitely.
Um, and defensively, I think it's pretty close. I don't even know if there's an edge one way or the other. So I mean, if Indiana called me, if Kevin Pritchard called me and said we'd like to trade Mitch for, not that they could at this point with the contracts, but I would have a hard time turning that down for sure.
I had a feeling.
Interesting.
We were talking to somebody recently also who shared a similar opinion. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I was talking to Holito McCollum, I want to say like 2 weeks ago, and he mentioned the same. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to see that type of a narrative kind of go, under the radar a little bit. Because I see where you're coming from. I think the other
I
thing is that time is so important, right? Because
see
everything.
again, just like Jay Ski saying, I've actually heard this vibe like really reverberate for a while, especially on Twitter. You know,
Mhm.
I don't agree with it. I'll be perfectly
No,
honest, and
man. And
everybody who
listen,
knows me
I'm
knows
gonna say
that.
this
But
real quick about
I
Twitter.
hear it.
Right? There's so many more people that follow us and that we follow out there on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say about a week and a half ago, I was seeing nonstop RJ slander all over my timeline.
Oh, get him, get
Nonstop.
him,
And I
get
know
him.
you saw it, Coach. So I made a little video, get that shit out of here, all that, right? Then I put out a post, I want to say the day before yesterday, Tommy, and I know you saw it, and it just said, RJ Barrett believers, show yourselves. This thing went freaking mini viral. You know what I'm saying? So if I take just from the standpoint of what I've been seeing on my timeline, I'd come away with the notion that all right, RJ Barrett's getting hammered out here. But then in reality, like I said, I put that out and he just got so
He's
much
getting
love.
love,
Like,
right?
yeah, so the narratives that we see kind of floating around here and there and weaving in and out of, everybody's, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, whatever, there's so much more out there, so you really got to
You
take
got to
what you're
buy in.
seeing.
Yeah, you got to, and that's a big thing for me, and always has been. Is you've got to trust yourself. You've got to trust what you've learned. You've got to trust what
100%.
your eyes tell you. You need to know. It's just a feeling. Like
Exactly.
that's why I do push back a lot when people try to frame things that I say and sort of take them out of context.
Right. You
Because
have to. You have to
Yes.
protect that narrative.
yeah, and you do. I mean, you definitely have to control it, or try anyway. But at the end of the day, for me, you want to take everything with a grain of salt and trust yourself. And I think that's what's always going to separate yourself from other people and opinions, and whether it's media or whether it's basketball takes or whatever the topic is, you just have to trust your experiences. And I think that goes a long way. And Danny, great job with that engagement, as I think I mentioned that on Twitter. That's big, because RJ's the type of guy, like, he's not the type, remember this, like, he's not the type who's going to retweet something and then have it instantaneously go viral, because he's not there.
Right.
So many people throw things at others, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's like, yeah, it gets exacerbated because somebody will retweet it and say, hey, I really like this, and if it's positive, a player is going to be like, yeah, that's cool, that's great. But if a player is not even really on social media like that, then there's going to be just this wide open opportunity to slander the guy. And I can tell you who watches him and who doesn't watch him, because you can just tell by their takes. And that's pretty much that tells everything to me.
Man, I always say it, and you'll hear a lot of the guys say it. CP at Knicks Fan TV, and just everybody that's in the community, man. We have the opportunity to change the narrative. You know what I mean? Being Knicks content creators. And we've been through it, Tommy, Coach, we've been through it for the last 10, 15 years where it hasn't been great, right? So the headlines have been out there, just a lot of negativity, you know what I mean? And I just feel like now is the time to change that, to change the gears and to change the mindset.
And they're changing it.
And
the front office is changing it.
We're in a different time. Exactly.
The players are changing it. It's time for the fans to embrace the change.
100%.
So the mission statement, the mission statement for the Knicks blog when we first started in 2008 was to change the narrative of the tabloids. Everything was Isaiah. Everything was, obviously it was a very difficult time. They had very poor headlines for very legitimate reasons. But then it turned into just this, and you're starting to see it a little bit with the Giants now too. It's just sort of this dumping on ownership and just everything being super negative. Right. And what we wanted to do there was to change that, as you guys mentioned, and just put the fans first and saying, like, hey, you know what? We needed a new avenue for this, and it exploded. I mean, exploded. It was. We're talking millions of page views a month. We're talking, radio appearances, TV appearances, the whole thing. Like it was really, really highly, strongly embraced, and I encourage that for you guys because it's out there. It's possible. You just got to go out and do it and grab it because there's a huge market for people who want positivity, and the only sort of maybe regret that I had before moving on was we didn't get a chance to see. Yeah, we saw the Celtics win, the Celtics series with Melo, but we didn't really see a team that pushed forward and be championship contenders. And I think now's an opportunity to see that sort of evolution happen, and all the content creators are going to benefit from that. Just stay focused on that, and it's going to happen. I totally believe that.
Dang.
Yeah, man, I hear that, and that's exactly the standpoint that I'm coming from. You know what I mean? So when obviously, we've been connecting for a while now, Tommy. So when I first connected with you, and I started doing my research and looking into who you were and what you've done and all that stuff, and I came upon the Knicks blog and what your purpose was, like you said, the mission statement of it.
Right.
It's totally what I'm all about. You know what I mean? That's pretty much where I started really paying attention to Knicks social media channels as a whole. Is this past season, just from the narrative going so negative and seeing all the positive changes coming to fruition, and wanting to be a part of it and push that further. So salute to you, man, for being one of the pioneers. That's for sure.
Dang.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for saying that. And the cool thing about Knicks blog is that now I'm going back and dating myself again, but so many people bookmarked the knicksblog.com. And I want to say in like 2015 or 16, SNY decided that they wanted to make it sny.tv/Knicks, I think, or whatever the URL is direct. If you type in the Knicks blog, at least the last time I checked, which is not, I would say maybe the last year or so, but if you type in the knicksblog.com, it still redirects to that sny.tv/Knicks,
Yep,
which tells you that
I just did
so
it.
many people had it bookmarked, and they get a lot of traffic still through that URL. So it's we had an impact for sure, and like I said before, I'm really happy for Ian that it's still continuing and growing, and he puts out great stuff. And
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he
Friend of
does.
the show,
Shouts to
definitely.
Ian.
It's nice to see it still exists, that's for sure.
Well,
Absolutely,
Tommy,
man. You've created such a machination for
yes.
for the fans. So
And
appreciate
this
that.
is now your spot, your time. Tell the world how they can find you, what you're up to, and everything that's all in the
We
world
want
of
to know
Tommy.
about it all, man. I want to hear about Court Vision. I want to know everything.
Hit it.
Yeah, well, and hopefully you can find me here more for sure. I love chopping up and
Oh,
chatting with you
definitely.
guys, and
Absolutely, Tommy.
this is always a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk. Modern NBA is the new one. Just giving you an idea of what we talked about before with things that I see that we'll make posts about. Some will be related, most will be NBA related. CP's been very gracious and kind with the opportunity to have me come on and do X's and O's stuff, which I love.
Hey,
I love
another friend
doing
of
the
the
court
show.
vision. Yeah, I think the last one did about like almost 16 or 17,000 views. So it's sort of nuanced X's and O's. We use a tool called Coach Paint, which is a really cool thing, and allows me to sort of dive deep into this stuff. And CP as well. We have, I think, a really cool rapport. And love what he's doing over there.
Definitely.
So
Heck yeah.
you can check that on YouTube. You can also just search in Court Vision, and then Twitter is at Thomas C DEE. And yeah, man, just happy to be back. I hope I explained the sort of hiatus there
Very well.
in a way that people could understand. And again, I just encourage you guys and everybody to just keep going and keep cranking. Volume and putting stuff out there in
Yes, sir.
mass is what gets the attention and what gets people excited. And I'm really excited for this year because I've never seen better content out here. And you guys are certainly leaders in that space, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's gonna work out, and as they get better, everybody's gonna get more shine, and hopefully that happens sooner before later.
And I definitely appreciate you coming on my show, my other show, earlier on in the year because again, you and we haven't necessarily disagreed much, but I feel like I've gotten your back a bunch of times
I appreciate
on
it.
when folk ain't gotten
Somebody
at you.
has to, man.
And
Somebody
I'm
has
and
to.
I'm like, what are you doing, ripping this man? It's not that serious, like lay off. But again, Tommy, dude, you have been, as Danny said, in a pillar and the foundation of this vibe. And I definitely appreciate you coming on. Listen, any platform I got you there. And I know
Same,
Danny
man.
feels the same
Same.
way because he's got Knicks talk too. So yeah, I'm hyping up his other joint because that's
You got
what
to
we
get that
do.
going, man.
When it's about the Knicks, man, and it's about family, this is what we do. So
Yes,
thank you
sir.
so much for hanging out with us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Get back to golfing. Do your Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy that, dude.
Hey,
Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the outside,
Oh,
man.
yo, I'm
thanks,
about to get
guys.
outside and clean up because
It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful out here, and it's beautiful in here. And thank you so much for the kind words. It means a lot to me. And let me know
Nah.
whenever you guys need anything or have me back on. I'm happy to do it.
Ladies
Definitely,
and
man.
gentlemen,
Absolutely.
Tommy CD in the building. Tommy of modernNBA.com. Check out his stuff. Check out the analytics. Check out the coach view. You know what I mean? And let's get it popping.
Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Absolutely, Tommy. Appreciate that, man.
another
Coach,
blazing show, my brother. Another blazing show.
you know how it does, how we go, man. It goes. Next corner, man. That's where it's at.
Bang, bang. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check this out. If you haven't seen this live, replay it. Go hit us up on Apple Podcasts, hit us up on Spotify, all of that good stuff.
Google, Amazon, YouTube, we're everywhere, man.
Do it, baby. We appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Peace.
Peace.